Coming up this time on The Solo Show.
What's your favorite Disney park?
It's got to be because that's it is like that's the park that I walk into and like start tearing up right away.
To find out the answer to that question and 19 others, you got to stick around for 20 Questions with Cody Havard on The Solo Show. As always, we're brought to you by Victor Naraki Realtor, serving Disney and the greater Orlando area with celebratingflorida.com and disneyatyourdoorstep.com. Realtor Victor Naraki makes living near Walt Disney World a reality, specializing in all the communities surrounding Disney. Whether you're looking to relocate or invest in a new property, maybe you want a vacation home for your retirement. With over a decade of experience in the area, Victor will adapt to your needs, help you find the right property, or get you the best price for your property. Reach out to him today on his website, celebratingflorida.com, or at disneyatyourdoorstep.com. Follow him at Victor Naraki Realtor on Facebook, and don't forget to tell him that The Solo Show sent you. From the Solo Studios here in Winnipeg, Manitoba, in the center of North America, on this little planet we call Earth, this is The Solo Show. On this adventure, we strap Cody Havard from the Being a Fan of Disney podcast to a lie detector in the guest host chair for a round of 20 questions. And now, please welcome your host, the happy Disney quizmaster himself. Here's Stan Solo.
Hello and welcome to this edition of The Solo Show. I am Stan Solo as always, and joining me today is Mr. Cody Havard.
Yeah.
Did I get it?
Yep. Yeah.
You know what I should do is I should listen to Ken's intro, and then I'll know how to pronounce it properly. That's what I should do. So, Cody, you have like a class that teaches Disney?
Yeah. Yeah. So it's a class through our honors college that it's actually called Being a Fan of Disney. And
Okay.
the general kind of concept is it's a fandom class. And we use Disney to talk about like what fandom means. And kind of the overall goal of it at the end is if you're a fan of something and it doesn't hurt someone else or doesn't hurt you, then that's generally a good thing because it makes you a happier person, more rounded member of society, you know, kind of that thing.
Awesome. So it's a very positive
Yeah.
type of class.
Yeah.
And you don't have to be in the class to hear the courses because you do a podcast.
Yeah. The podcast, Being a Fan of Disney, is available on any platform. I think there's also we'll do these type of interviews and we have them on YouTube as well. So It's on the YouTube channel and then it's on the audio for the podcast. And so yeah, you can follow along at any time. And I've even started this semester posting more stuff from the class. And I'm toying with the fact if I want to actually post the email or a portion of the email like about the syllabus that I send out to the class each week. Because basically the way it's set up, because there's so many people that have participated, like yourself and Ken and others, that there's 15 weeks in a semester. So each week the students have 5 or 6 different options that they need to either watch or listen to 2 different interviews or visits. And so like at the beginning of the week, I'll send out an email that kind of sort of promotes each different interview and saying like, if you're into Marvel, maybe you want to listen to this. If you're into the parks, maybe you want to listen to this one. And so I've even thought about putting out some of that content for people who follow along on Facebook if they want to know, like, you know, week to week what's going on in the class.
Very cool. So let me ask you: Are the students going to be able to? Are you going to promote and share your 20 questions, your answers, or is Teach going to keep it more private?
So actually, if you saw the syllabus is like this. I have to, the first class, I have to tell the students, like, don't worry about it. This is a fun class meant to, like, you do as much as you want to in the class. So, and I actually do, every time I talk to somebody like yourself, I put them in the syllabus, and I'll put it in optional content.
Okay.
So this will be in like the weekly syllabus as well. And it's set up to where every semester, let's say out of 15 students in the class, I might have 2 or 3 that are like, they want to consume a whole lot of the content. And so they'll actually go on and they'll look at some of the optional content, and they might, instead of doing 2 interviews or visits in a week, they might do 3 or 4. And I tell them that at the beginning of the semester, like, there are the requirements of the class are to do 2 a week, but if there's a subject you really like, you listen to all of them. I mean, we're up to over 100 episodes, or what I call classes, on the podcast now. So, I mean, you can imagine if somebody's really into it, they definitely can get pretty deep into all of it.
You say that now, but you don't know what the questions are.
That's true.
you might finish it. Well, I ain't putting this in.
Yeah. This one might not end up on there, depending on the answer. I don't know.
We'll have to wait and see. All righty. Well, the first couple are softballs, and then we'll get into the more fun ones towards the end. So where are you originally from there, Cody?
I'm originally from, it's a town called, 2 towns called Tarkington Prairie and Shepherd, Texas. They're about an hour north of Houston.
Okay.
And so pretty deep East Texas.
And this isn't one of the 20. So where are you now?
Now I'm in Collierville, outside of Memphis. I teach at the University of Memphis. That's where I work. So we've been here now. This is started my 12th year here. So we've, we're pretty established here. Both of our kids have been born here and everything. And then in between there was a stop in Colorado. That's where my wife and I met. I was living an hour north of Denver, and she was living in South Denver. So,
oh, cool.
Yeah.
I'm hearing more of a Memphis accent than I am a Texas accent. So you have settled in. How did you get into Disney? You're obviously a Disney fan. You've been, you're teaching a class about it. Like, how did you get into it?
So, I think growing up, when I did, I mean, I grew up in the 80s and 90s. So the Disney Renaissance was really big for me. I think that's probably where it started. And then,
are you talking about like the animated movies that were coming out at that period?
Yeah, the animated movies of the Renaissance. And then my family was really big on, my mom was a math teacher. So we actually had Adventures into Mathematics Land. I can't remember the name of it. It was an old, like one of the, Walt Disney Presents. And I think it's called Adventures into Mathematics Land or something like that. It had,
there's like a VHS type thing, or?
Yeah.
Okay.
And you can find it on YouTube. I found it on YouTube and rewatched it and everything. It was,
I was going to say, yes. So for the kids listening, you can look up what a VHS is, or you can just watch it on YouTube.
Yeah. And so, we would watch all of those, and I was really big into Disney. And I remember, like, as a kid trying to draw, write the Disney script and draw the Disney D and things like that. And as far as parks, we probably went 3 or 4 times when I was growing up. From, I think the first time I went was 87. And then we went again in 89 and maybe 91 or 92. Yeah. And then I had a pretty long gap after that. I didn't go back until 2012. But even in that gap, like when I was getting into high school and college and everything, like, you don't have time. And when you're in college, you don't have time or money to go to the parks.
Yeah.
But I would still, I was still watching the Pixar movies. I remember when Toy Story came out and thinking like, this has changed everything. Because that was just like, I tell the students now, when I watched Toy Story for the first time, to me, seeing that background and seeing all these computer generated characters, and that's all it was. There was no hand drawn anything. It was like, that was just the way I can relate it is when people who were alive when the first Star Wars came out, and they said what a change that was in entertainment. That's what Toy Story was to me, and seeing like how this format worked and everything. So I was still a big fan. It took me a while to get back to the parks, and then since then we've probably been back on average every 2 or 2.5 years, something like that.
It's funny how there's certain movies that just kind of redefined entertainment. Like I'm thinking back, like the original King Kong was kind of like that.
Yeah.
and then Star Wars, then
Yeah.
like you said, Pixar or Toy Story. I put Jurassic Park in that category.
Yep.
And as far as 3D goes, which really didn't do much afterwards, but Avatar kind of blew up the 3D world. So it's interesting.
Well, one really real quick, one really cool thing that I've always loved about Pixar is like every time they put out a movie, there's actually people who write about like what the technological advances are.
Yeah.
And what the practical application of that is. Like when the first cars came out and you could see like this reflection off of the cars when they're driving past something. Mm-hmm. That was actually that was the big advancement of that movie, was like that wasn't computer generated. That was a program that actually, like, whatever that car was driving past in the computer, it was already programmed that it would reflect off of that. And so, they talked about like the practical implications of how that, can impact things like the military and things like where like you can kind of see things happening in like a simulated setting before. And so I've always really found all of those really, really interesting. And when a new movie comes out, like I try to Google what's the latest advancement from all of that stuff, because I think that stuff's really cool.
So you talked about you're a teacher now, a professor. Did you get any unique jobs or odd jobs that you never really advertised before, or anything that you've done that's kind of unusual?
So
people don't know about?
My first job was it was a summer job when I was in high school, working at my friend's father's asphalt plant. And like
at the plant, so you're not laying asphalt, you're making asphalt?
Yeah. Well, I didn't make it. I was basically, I would get drinks and do that kind of stuff.
You're a gopher.
Yeah. I was the guy. Like I would mow and stuff. But the first day, I was, what was I, like 16 maybe? The first day, all the guys there told me like, hey, you have to go and look at the asphalt to see if it's okay. And like, I go on top of this one of the huge like containers. Like I have to climb up there, and I'm standing up there, and they're like, yeah, you just open up this hole and like you look down in, and they're like, yeah, it's gonna be dark down there, but like you can see if there's stuff floating around in it that's not good and everything. Well, obviously, like as soon as you lift it up, like it's just this like
steam,
just massive steam just comes up and like makes you smell right away. Yeah. And so I did it. And then like I turn around and like everybody's up, like the two guys up there helping me are like laughing. And then for like the next week in the office, everybody would laugh about that. But yeah, that was my first job. I was so at one point I was a lifeguard for 2 weeks.
Okay.
And I had to pull somebody
you were
out of
for 2 weeks. How many people drowned during those 2 weeks that you only lasted?
I had to pull somebody out of the pool one time, and at that time, like I pulled them out of the pool. I couldn't find the stuff that I needed to like do CPR and everything. I'm trying to remember like what the cadence of the CPR and everything is. So I start doing it, and then like I'm also like, we had this cadence with our whistles that we would blow, and like a more experienced person would come over, and I had forgotten that at the time.
Oh my
gosh. I'm like blowing my whistle, and luckily right before I start doing it, the woman like wakes up, and or not wakes up, but like she was breathing heavy, and then like she kind of spit out water and everything. So everybody around there like starts clapping, and I'm like, yeah, I did a really good thing. And then I realized I lost my name tag. I lost my name tag. Like it went down to the bottom of the pool, and I was going to have to pay like $5 out of my paycheck to get a new name tag. And because no one came over to help out, I didn't get credit for like that save or whatever it would have been. Where if I would have gotten credit, I wouldn't have had to pay for a new name tag. But since I didn't do it, I was going to have to pay for a new name tag. And I was like, you know what?
Meanwhile, the name tag is stuck at the bottom of someone's foot because they stepped on it in the bottom of the pool.
Yeah, it was it's like stuck in someone's foot, and they're bleeding everywhere. Like, and so but that was a realization. I'm like, you know what? I'm 18. I don't want this type of stress. And anytime I've ever gone to a water park since then, I've kept really close eye on like whoever I'm with. I'm like, all right, a lot of these lifeguards here, they're probably here on a summer job, and they may be in my situation when I was there. So,
oh well. How often do you get to go? Oh, you already kind of mentioned this already. How often you go to the Disney park? So we could kind of skip that one. You said you went.
Yeah, one about every 2.5 years, probably.
Yeah. What's your favorite Disney park?
It's got to be the Magic Kingdom,
Mhm.
because it's the castle park. It is like that's the park that I walk into and like start tearing up right away.
Mhm.
The music there, just the atmosphere. I love Epcot. I love Hollywood Studios. But yeah, it's got to be the Magic Kingdom, and I'm always trying to get there at rope drop, or trying to get there
Is
early if I
your
can.
do you follow tradition that got your first park first day, or that your last
Usually,
park last day?
it's usually the first park. There
Okay.
was one exception when we went in 2018. We were going. We're actually there about this time, and we were going to be there on my son's birthday. And so I thought, well, we're going to go to the Magic Kingdom on my son's birthday. That's going to be the coolest like experience.
Mhm.
And so we actually that time went to, I think, Animal Kingdom first, then Hollywood Studios, and then the next park was Magic Kingdom because
Okay.
that was his birthday.
Have you done any Disney cruises, and if so, which ships?
I haven't done any cruises,
Okay.
and I would really, really like to, especially with like the Marvel Days at Sea and Pixar Days at Sea and
Mhm.
the Wish and everything that's out now. I
Okay.
would like to. We just haven't been able to.
Well, I might be planning a group cruise soon. Hint, hint.
Huh?
What other parks in the world have you visited?
Disney parks.
Yeah.
I haven't. I have not been able to go to any other Disney parks. We were
Other than
planning.
how about land?
We were planning to go to Disneyland in May 2020. I had a conference in San
Mhm.
Diego, and we were gonna drive up to Anaheim. And obviously that didn't happen. The
Okay.
Galaxy had other plans. So yeah, I haven't been able to go to any other parks, but I joke with people. Well, it's semi joke maybe. In academia, you can do sabbaticals, and when you do a sabbatical, like it's basically this huge research project that like you're not teaching at that time, and some people travel and do this, and they'll do like a big research project. And I've more recently started talking to people about, if I ever take a sabbatical, which I probably won't, but if I ever take one, I used to want to go to different college football games and
Yep.
do different rivalries because that's what I write about. But now I think maybe I would do a sabbatical and try to go to as many Disney parks as I could and write about that.
Perfect. There you go. I might be planning a group trip to Disneyland with a cruise
All right.
attached. That's the perfect sabbatical for you. What's your favorite Disney tip you give to someone going for the first time?
So I'm not sure it's a great tip for the first time,
Okay.
but my favorite tip is, and I feel like everybody says it who's been many times, is you really do just try to take it slow, and try to take
Which nobody
everything
listens
in.
to.
No one, because, and we've talked about this offline before. Like, it's difficult now that the parks are so much more expensive, and the vacation is so much more expensive,
Mhm.
that now really it is like the definition of a successful trip for a lot of people, if you don't get to go often, is you ride as many things as you can.
Yeah.
And so, like, unfortunately, that means you're on your phone app all day, like trying to figure things out and trying to get from ride to ride. But the last time that we went, the last day we were there, the last day we were there, we went to Magic Kingdom the whole day. And I purposely just took it slow. We got
Mhm.
there and we didn't rush off to a ride. We went over to Ye Old Christmas Shop.
Yep.
And so I could give what is my favorite like detail to people, which I think a lot of people, it's a very surface level detail about the reason the concrete is a different color, and when you're walking through Liberty Square, tell the boys that and hear them say gross and stuff. Because that's the stuff that, like, if I ever go by myself, if I'm ever there for a conference or anything, I'll just try to go and walk around and just sit, because that's the most fun thing. As
I
you
agree
said,
completely. Some of my best trips were I've ridden like one ride the entire day,
Yeah.
or two rides the whole day. Yeah, absolutely. What's your number one bucket list Disney item
Disney item
or trip or event? Or is it Adventures by Disney? Is it Alani? Is it Tokyo? Is it a cruise? What would be your, if you could pick something, you got time off, you can go, or you want to do?
Actually, right now,
Being on the solo show is you can scratch that one off.
Right now, what I would like to do the most is I want to get to Avengers Campus as soon as I can.
In
Because
Disneyland.
in
Paris.
Disney. Well, both, if I could. But first, Disneyland, because I've heard so much about that, and I've heard so much about the storytelling aspect of that. Like you and I have talked about Galaxy's Edge before, how like it fits in the timeline, and so there are certain things that it's difficult to put into Galaxy's Edge from like some of the shows coming out. Whereas like you go to Avengers Campus and like you can see Steve Rogers Captain America and Sam Wilson Captain America walking around, because it's like kind of exists sort of in the multiverse or something. So I would like to get there as soon as I can to see everything. And then I want to go back when they open up the new ride that they announced at D23 with like King Thanos and all of that.
Yeah.
So I think right now that would probably be bucket list, but I do want to make it to the international parks, especially Disney Sea as well.
Yeah. What's your favorite old school attraction?
It's Peter Pan.
Oh wow, okay.
I love all the old school attractions, and like Jungle Cruise. Sadly, sometimes we don't go on Jungle Cruise just because it's so long. The line is so long.
Oh,
but
okay.
I love Jungle Cruise, Pirates. Absolutely.
But
love
you're going to say
Haunted
the
Mansion.
attraction's too long. I think it's honestly, they tell you it's a 3-day tour, but it's not.
yeah. It's really about 12 minutes. Like
yeah. They tell you about wave goodbye to those people because you're never going to see them again. You might see some of them again.
It's quite the opposite of Gilligan's Island. Like you know, they started on a 3-day tour and ended up 7 seasons on television. But
Peter Pan, that's awesome. Yeah, that is a great. And not very few people say that one. I mean, it has a huge line all the time. Peter Pan, I think the line is longer than Jungle Cruise.
Yeah, it's typically it's like the one we go to first.
Yeah,
like we'll rush back there and go to that, because like if you're not in line first, like then within 5 minutes it's like an hour and a half wait period. And it's like a 2-minute ride, but it's so cool. The way like the ride system's so cool, the way you're flying over everything. And then like if you watch the Imagineering story, the way they talk about how they constructed that and like using like the systems that they would use in like manufacturing and everything. It's just so cool like to see all of that.
Absolutely. So what's your favorite new attraction?
Go
from Avatar forward.
Flight
of Passage, Rise of Resistance, Smuggler's Run, Ratatouille, all those type of.
I think it is. I think it's Rise of Resistance. I mean, it's just an amazing attraction. Like and the fact that like it's not just the 4 or 5 minute ride at the end. Like it's a 20 to 25 minute experience when you're walking through and you're having your debriefing, and then you get on the ship that gets like abducted, and it's just such a cool thing. And the one time that I have been on it, we had a lightning lane for it, and then it was having some technical difficulties, so it shut down for a little bit. So we ended up like
I'm beginning to think it might be you.
I know.
Not Disney. You gotta stop sticking your foot out of the track system.
Well, it shut down before we got on it. So,
okay.
So we went back later in the day and got on it, and one of the Kylo Ren encounters wasn't working. Like because I watched the videos beforehand. I know some people don't like to, but like I could tell one of the Kylo Ren attractions wasn't working. And so even like riding it, I was thinking like, well, I'm glad they like just had this system where they could essentially block out the Kylo Ren character and like not shut the ride down for the day, because obviously like that wasn't going to be working.
Yeah. There are so many moving parts to that attraction. It is crazy. Like it is insane.
It apparently it takes like, if they have to shut it down and start it back up, it takes something like 90 minutes to get once basically they hit the start button. That's not what they do, but basically once they like start it, like it's supposed to take something like 90 minutes to have everything up and running.
You get hired by Disney. What's your dream job?
Actually, what my dream job would be, because I am one of, I think 1 or 2% of people in the world that absolutely love what they do. Like there's not a better job for me than like being a researcher and professor. But my dream job would be like, basically they asked me to consult and do like customer service research and market research with Disney, and then obviously that includes like you're not talking about being one of those people out there with the laptop or with the iPad asking people survey questions. You're talking about actually processing the data and stuff like that. Yeah. I mean, it would be like, whenever you see those people, like that's part of like some massive study that they're doing. Like I would love to be somebody who is like like designing the studies that they're doing and yeah, analyzing the data and putting the reports out and everything in a consulting basis, because I do love like what I get to do. So
I thought for sure you were going to say lifeguard.
yeah, after my extensive lifeguarding experience, like you would think, but
yeah. What's your favorite Disney movie?
Man, lately, well, over the last probably 5 years, it might be Mary Poppins Returns. For like here's the reason, like because of the age of my kids, we watch a lot of movies over and over and over again. And so like if it's Pixar, like I love Onward because the story of like the father and two sons and things like that. And Encanto we watched over and over and over again. And you and I like communicated about back and forth about Encanto. We actually talked about it like this last week in class. But with Mary Poppins Returns, I remember the stories of how happy supposedly it was around the studio when the first Mary Poppins came out. And so I remember when it came out, just being very, very happy and thinking like, wow, I have a Mary Poppins movie that is coming out during my lifetime, like that's premiering during my lifetime, and I can see it. And then on top of that, I mean, for me, it was a fantastic movie. I don't think it did as well as other people may have wanted it to, but I really, really liked it.
That's cool. What's your favorite Disney song? Is it from the Mary Poppins movie, or is it something completely different? That's a tough one.
Yeah, there literally are thousands of songs, right? If I'm focusing just on that, yeah, I like that song "Cover Is Not the Book" that they sing in Mary Poppins Returns, like about the different stories. If we're talking like more kind of Renaissance to classic,
well, yeah, I mean, you figure there's Pixar, Star Wars had a couple songs. I like the Cantina song in Star Wars.
Yeah. I mean, I like the
Marvel. There's all sorts of songs now.
Yeah, like the Marvel fanfare is amazing. I think the Marvel soundtracks are really, really good, especially the ones that they, the Guardians of the Galaxy soundtracks are really great. I do like the Star Wars theme. I like the Imperial March theme. And I think from the Renaissance,
you got all the Sherman Brothers library is
like
everything is amazing there.
Like I love the Figment song. I love Journey into Imagination. There's like if you could break this question down into like what's the best movie, what's the best attraction, what's the music questions. Yeah, I mean it's because it's great, and I love music from Little Mermaid as well. Like that music has stayed with me in addition to the Lion King music.
So your favorite song is the 20 you listed?
Yeah, my favorite song is pretty much the latest thing that comes out.
If you were to build your own attraction, what would you build?
I would love to see. Let's see. I've thought about this before, and I can't. Now I'm drawing a blank on it. I think I would love to see. It's not really a new build. I would love to see what's behind me. A reimagining of the Imagination Ride, the Journey into Imagination Ride. And I'm not. I will give credit where credit's due. I'm not stealing this, but Ron Schneider spoke in class a few months ago again, and he had this idea for the Journey into Imagination where he said, like now where the technology that they have is like, you can like the point and click stuff and the point and shoot stuff like in the Spider-Man adventure and the Toy Story rides. He said like his idea would be riding through, and there's all these points of imagination and all these ideas and everything. And everybody has like their individual like kind of pointer or whatever. And they're basically acting like almost like the Dream Finder or helping the Dream Finder out and sucking up all these imagination like ideas and everything. I think something like that would be really cool.
That's a complete remodel of the Imagination Pavilion.
But like I've also heard that if they got Inside Out in there, like that would be really cool. Inside Out, and have because that is the only movie that Figment appears in. He makes a picture cameo in it. I think that would be really cool to somehow meld something like that.
Combine the two, Inside Out and I know that's a good idea. Yeah. What's your favorite snack on Disney property?
I think it's the Mickey ice cream bar. Although the last few times we went was the first times I had a Dole Whip, and that's quickly climbing up the list. Like this last trip, I made up for the fact that I only recently discovered a Dole Whip by having probably like 4 or 5 while I was there.
You know what's funny is I didn't have a Mickey ice cream bar or a Mickey ice cream sandwich my last 2 trips to World and Land. And after I got home, I'm like, I never had an ice cream bar. That's weird. I've always gotten one. So
yeah. Do you think it's because you can you can get them now in the stores, or
Well,
can you get them where you are?
No, we don't have them.
Okay.
But like the Dilly bars at Dairy Queen to me are identical.
Yeah.
To the Mickey Premium ice cream bar, other than they don't have the ears.
Yeah.
Which kind of is half the fun is the ears.
Yeah.
But I'm more of an ice cream sandwich, Mickey ice cream sandwich. Have you had those?
Yeah, I have. And they see, like here in the States, you can go to like Target or places and get the ice cream bar and the ice cream sandwich.
I hear they're not the same though.
The ice cream bar is actually really, really good. Like I kind of like it better than the one in the parks because
they're half the price.
Yeah. To me, it seems like the one in the park, it's very, very rich. The chocolate is very, very rich. And, the ones you get in the store aren't as rich. Yeah. So
okay. Favorite quick service restaurant on property?
Quick service, probably the name escapes me. Right in Liberty Square, Columbia Harbor House.
Yeah, I like that one.
I love that one.
Yeah. Do you get the fish or do you get the burger?
Usually I'll get the fish there, and then also when I'm in Epcot, I'll get the fish from the UK pavilion.
Yeah.
I think you and I may have talked about that one time. Like
that's got to be the best battered fish in the world.
Yeah.
At the Epcot pavilion. I'm going to go to England. I can hardly wait to try their fish when I go there. Their fish and chips. But I did try the fish and chips in Disneyland and didn't hold a candle to that.
It wasn't as good. No. When you go to England, you can compare and just see what they say when you're like, this is better than the UK pavilion. See
I'm sure that would go over well. I'll get a pint of beer in the side of the head.
He won't be allowed back.
Yeah, no kidding. Tear up his visa. Favorite table service restaurant on property?
So we actually don't do a lot of table service restaurants. Okay. Most things we do are at Disney Springs. And there's 3 restaurants that I'll frequent at Disney Springs. One is Deluxe Burger. I love Deluxe Burger. One is the new Chicken Guy restaurant.
Okay, well these are both quick service, so
yeah.
Don't really
I guess table service. Really, the one we've done at Disney Springs is T-Rex because of the age of our kids.
Yeah,
but it's also really cool, like because have you ever been in there and seen like how different rooms are? Like one room.
I haven't been to the T-Rex, but I've been to Rainforest Cafe outside of Disney.
Yeah,
I hear it's kind of the same thing.
Yeah, it's the same type of idea. Different rooms are different, and then every 15 or 20 minutes, there's like a storm, and the dinosaur animatronics come to life and things like that.
Yeah, well, perfect. Yeah, I mean, it's what's meant for you and your family. I thought for sure you were going to say Boathouse. I thought for sure you were going to say Boathouse.
I've never been to Boathouse.
Oh, wow.
I've never been to Boathouse, and I always tell people like that have been. I've mentioned it to you, people who've spoken in the class. I'm like, if we're ever there at the same time, like I want to have a meal with people, but I always give the caveat like the meal is going to be like a Deluxe Burger or Chicken Guy, because like when I'm there, like those are the things that I have to eat. Sometime I'll try Boathouse, and also I know that would be pretty hefty to take a lot of people there.
Yeah. If you are you're going to Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween party. You can bring your family. You can bring your kids. If you want, you could do a group thing. But what costume are you wearing?
I would love to go as Dreamfinder with
and have the kids all dressed up like little figments.
Yeah. I actually, we have the stuffed figment, and I'm still trying to figure out how to make one of those into a puppet without completely just messing it up, which I'm 98% sure I'm just going to completely mess it up because I don't know how to do things like that. But I think
to get a custom one made, it's going to be over $1,000 to get a professionally custom one made. So yeah,
I do have in class of like a few years ago, I talked to somebody about cosplaying and Disney bounding. What's the difference between cosplay and Disney bounding? And so this last spring, I did for the first time. I've had a purple jacket, like a dark color purple jacket for a long time. And this last year I wore it for the first time with a pink shirt underneath. and that was my Figment cosplay, or I guess Disney bounding would be
Bounding,
more.
yeah. It's I like the Disney bounding idea, and for people that don't know, Disney bounding is where you don't dress up as a character or a thing. You kind of wear the colors or the pattern as the thing.
Yeah,
and
the way it was
sometimes because you see
me,
people that they're bounding, but you kind of have to think about what they're bounding as sometimes.
The way it was explained to me, somebody said if you're cosplaying, you're dressing like someone in their environment. If you're bounding, you're dressing like that person in your environment. So like, it's the difference of wearing like the full like Captain America costume versus like what Captain America would look like if he were living in your world, that type of thing.
Yeah, exactly. Alrighty, we're doing great on time here. We're at the final question number 20.
All right.
Okay. What is your go-to karaoke song?
Go-to karaoke song. Oh man, it's a good thing this is the last question, because this would be another. You asked me about music, and it's like it could be 20 different things. So I'll try to narrow it down. I love singing any of the music from Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Okay.
I wish that were on Disney Plus at some point. I would love that to be on Disney Plus. I love singing all of the Mary Poppins original and Mary Poppins Returns.
Do you do karaoke?
I've done it maybe 3 or 4 times in my life.
Okay, well, it's
not
3 or 4
well.
more times more than I have. I've gone and watched a couple of times. I've never really gotten up on stage.
I don't do it well.
No one does.
And it depends. It depends who you're with. You know, sometimes it's really, really fun. Like at our wedding, we had like a karaoke there at the end, and 4 or 5 people got up and sang. And
nice.
So I think if we're talking about Disney stuff, it's that. What I sing in the car a lot with the boys is, have you seen The Greatest Showman?
I haven't, but I've heard I'm supposed to.
It's an amazing movie, not historically accurate at all. Not at all. Like it makes P.T. Barnum look like he's a pretty good person, and I think historically that's not necessarily the case. But amazing music. And my youngest son, for like a year, we found a Halloween costume that was like a circus ringleader. And he would wear that around for like during the early days of the pandemic when like schools were shut down and everything. He would wear that like all day, every day, pretty much, and would sing the songs and everything from it. So that's a lot of fun.
Nice. So we're going to end the show with Cody singing something from Mary Poppins. No, this was great having you on. This was great.
Yeah, thank you.
I like these 20 questions because I think it kind of gives people a little bit more of an insight on not only you, but what people like at Disney and Disney World and Disneyland and the parks, and what their history is, kind of with a simple group of 20 questions.
Yeah, it's fun. And I ask these type of questions, as you know, like when people come in the class or on the show, I'll ask 4 or 5 of these types of questions, and being on the other end of it, like it's a lot more difficult to think about, you know, favorite song and things like. And I'm really impressed that I kept my answers so short. Because, as you know, I'm pretty. Anybody who's ever listened to one of my shows knows it. I'm pretty long-winded, so blame it on the day job.
There you are. Alrighty, so check out. Sorry, what is it called? Disney.
Being a fan of Disney.
Being a fan of Disney. Sorry.
Yeah,
I got to write things down or else I forget.
And
Being a fan of Disney podcast, also available on YouTube.
Yeah,
and everywhere, you know, find things. I'll have links in the show notes as well.
Perfect.
Alrighty. Any final questions or thoughts there, Cody?
I think I'll flip it around on you. What attraction would you build?
You know what? I've been thinking about this for a while, and you know the Autopia at Disneyland, and the racetrack. I like the idea of these racetracks, but being it on a conveyor, like you can't really drive the car. I mean, all you're doing is basically hitting the gas pedal. Why can't they make like a bumper car type system like that? Like, I get it that when they initially did it and I thought people were going to drive nice, and of course, the first thing you did was start smashing into each other, which is the fun of it. But could you imagine how fun it would be to have like 20 or 30 people, or even like 5 people get together and you're in your own cars? And it's not like bumper cars. I love bumper cars, and I would love the idea of a track with bumper cars.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. That would be pretty cool. That I think the last time we went was the first time I'd ridden that in a while. But it is like, I mean, you take kids and they definitely, put them in a car that every kid's wanting to drive.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
it's pretty cool. Yeah, that would be a cool attraction. That would be a cool idea. Isn't that
Yeah.
kind of what Mater's Junkyard Jamboree? They're not bumper cars, right? But they kind of dance in and out of each other and stuff. Or is it Luigi's?
Yeah. The Luigi's. Yeah. They kind of, it's a trackless ride system similar to Ratatouille would be. And the dancing part in Ratatouille?
Yeah.
It's like that, but it's a whole bunch of cars. That's a fun attraction too.
Yeah.
That one is so much fun. Not nearly as fun as the whip and whirling one at the other one now. I don't understand how come alien swirling saucers at Hollywood Studios is the exact same attraction as the one in Cars Land in Disneyland, but for some reason the one in Cars Land in Disneyland is just so much more fun.
Yeah. Some of it's probably because I've seen videos of that and heard the music around it. Like it's pretty crazy there with the music and Mater talking and all that stuff. Like, that's be pretty fun. This last time we went to Cars Land, we did not do the alien saucer attraction because we were trying to get on something else. So I know what you mean as far as it's fun when you have time. When compared to Slinky Dog and Toy Story Mania, those other two you're gonna get on first.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. Alrighty, do you want to end the show or shall I?
You mean I get to end the show?
You can end the show.
All right. Hey, well, thanks for having me, Stan. This was awesome, and this was a lot of fun. And I actually look forward to very shortly having you talk about D23 on being a fan of Disney. So that'll be a whole lot of fun. And take it away, Ken.
If you have a brilliant idea for a future edition of The Solo Show and would like to take your turn in the guest host's chair, then drop us an email at thesoloshow01@gmail.com. Tell us your idea for the show, and we'll contact you about a date and a time for you to join us. If you would just like to keep the conversation going or have a comment about a previous show, then visit us on Facebook at The Solo Show. All logos, sounds, and songs that are made by and for Disney and its affiliates are owned solely by the Disney Corporation and are not, nor are they intended to be, the ownership of The Solo Show podcast. We hope you'll join us for the next adventure on The Solo Show. Thanks for listening, and bye for now.